Hello, friends, and welcome to Teach Up, where we train you to do well on the AP exam and to do it fast. Today, we will look at the limit as t approaches negative pi of a function that is a quotient, where the numerator is negative cosine t plus sine of 2t minus 1, and the denominator is pi squared minus t squared. So we're going to go ahead and evaluate the function at t equal negative pi and see what happens. We're going to get negative cosine of negative pi plus the sine of negative 2 pi minus 1 divided by pi squared minus negative pi to the second power. And we can see here, well, let's just start with the numerator. I'm going to just take a look at the unit circle and see what happens. Now, negative pi takes me from the just from my starting point here to this point there, and we're going clockwise, and the coordinates here are negative 1 comma 0, and we know the cosine corresponds to the x coordinate and the sine corresponds to the y coordinate. So at negative pi, the cosine is going to be negative 1. So we have a negative 1 and another negative 1, so that's going to become a positive 1. And then the sine of negative 2 pi, well, for negative 2 pi, we're going around the unit circle clockwise, and then we're going to end up right here. So the coordinates are positive 1, 0, and the sine corresponds to this value. So the sine of negative 2 pi is 0. I'm just showing you how you can derive it. Hopefully you have it already memorized. But in any case, if we take negative times negative 1, we get a positive 1, and then minus 1, that's going to be a 0. So that means this is actually going to be a 0 over 0 indeterminate form, which allows me to use L'Hopital's rule. So here we're going to use L'Hopital's rule. So that means we're going to be taking the limit as t approaches negative pi of the derivative of the numerator. So let's take a look at it. It's negative, and the derivative of the cosine is negative sine t plus 2 times the cosine of 2t. And I use the chain rule there, and the denominator is going to be negative 2t. All right, now let's go ahead and just substitute the value of negative pi into this function. So we are going to get the sine of negative pi plus 2 times the cosine of negative 2 pi, all right, divided by negative 2 pi. And there's another negative 1 there. So it was negative 2 times negative pi. So those two negatives there are going to become a positive. So the sine of negative pi, as we saw earlier, the sine of negative pi here was a 0. So this value here is going to be a 0. And the cosine of negative 2 pi was a 1. And so this one here is going to be a 1. So we're going to get 0 plus 2 times 1. That's just going to be 2 divided by negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. 2 pi, which simplifies as 1 over pi. Therefore, I can see it here at the corner. That's going to be my answer.